gets a little weird. The Hall of Fame committee has selected yours truly to be an inductee, and since it would be awfully strange to induct myself, I'm going to hand the microphone over to our announcer, Mr. Mark Fleischer.
Once again, let's hear it for Mark Trember. Some of you might know him as Lem, and others might know him as Snert Thundercloud. He's been involved with racing since 1988 when he started a business called Mark Signs. He hand-lettered hundreds of race cars and haulers throughout the Northland and numerous signs for the Hibbing Raceway. In 1991, he started racing mini stocks and mini modifieds, winning 13 features between Grand Rapids and Bemidji, and he drove super stocks briefly in 1994. Because in 1995, he started a business called Turbine Chassis. He was a car builder who designed and manufactured super stocks and modifieds for customers throughout Wissota. He also built pure stock, sold parts, and offered related services for race car bodies and repair work, alignment and setup, and shock rebuilding and dynoing. Turbo Chassis cars earned well over 300 feature wins and over 40 track championships. In fact, here at Hibbing Raceway, his chassis won 11 Labor Day shootouts. From the late 1990s through the mid-2000s, over half of the super stocks and modifieds here at Hibbing and Grand Rapids were turbine chassis. He sold the chassis business in 2011 to Raystar Motorsports in Alexandria, and they're still being built to this day. After that, he spent 9 years on the board of directors of the Iron Range Racing Association and helped establish and promote the Pier stocks and the current Hornet class here in Hibbing. He served as a technician for both classes. He's helped with many other jobs here, including being a corner judge, water truck, assistant flagman, and enduro announcer, and he's never accepted a penny. In 2019, he made a return back to racing. You may remember he went by his alter ego, Snert Thundercloud, and drove the Hams Hornet. He ran 4 features between Hibbing and Grand Rapids, winning the track championship here. That year, he donated all of the profits from his hats, T-shirts, to the Hibbing Raceway. He created the Vintage Iron Range Dirt Track Racing page. If you have not checked it out, I would suggest you do, because he's pulled out a lot of photos and a lot of things about the Hibbing Raceway and racing throughout northern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. And he's done some fabulous documentary videos. He still serves on the Hall of Fame committee. He works in his pit crews for both his cousin Steve Vessel and brothers Todd and Jay Kittner for 35 years and still does it. And that's being modest. He has done way more things here at the Hibbing Raceway that you may not even realize he's done. Let's give a big round of applause for Mark Tremberth, and welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Mark. Well, this might be a little tough for me to get through, but I'll try my best. I must admit, it's a little strange standing on this side of the table. First of all, I'd like to thank the other Hall of Fame committee members, Roger, Steve, Troy, Rudy, and Dave, for the time and effort they put into the process and for believing that I am worthy of such an award. I am both honored and humbled to have my name appear on the same plaque next to legends such as Bob Girardi, Freddie Fran, Don Oz, Tom Nesbitt, Steve Vessel, just to name a few. I don't take this prestigious award for granted, and I realize that there are many people who deserve to be on that big plaque right there, perhaps much more than I do. Of any trophies or awards I've ever earned, this is by far the highest honor in my book, and this means more to me than any award I've ever received. As a child, I used to cry when the program rained out because I so badly wanted to be here watching the races. When I was 9 years old, I won a pedal bike off of this very stage. A year later, I won a race right on that front stretch with it. I love this place, and no matter how hard I try to pursue other interests, I always manage to find myself right back here on Saturday nights. Shortly before I graduated, I was supposed to be in the high school auditorium on that particular Saturday evening to receive the Fine Arts Student of the Year award. And you guessed it, I was right here watching the races instead. I told my art teacher that I was sick, but he knew damn well where I was, and he wasn't happy with me either. I got married on a Friday, so I didn't have to miss the races, and so none of my family had to miss the races. Over the years, I've stuck with a strict policy of never missing a race night to attend a wedding. Sorry, Pete Wallers, wherever you are. Unfortunately, my brother Jay doesn't adhere to such a policy, as he had to miss racing tonight to attend a wedding in the family. Imagine that, one of our relatives getting married on a race night. What's the world coming to? This is where I met my wife. This is where I met most of my friends. This is where the best memories of my life have been made and are still being created. And this is where I want my ashes to be spread. Just not anytime soon, I hope. I want to thank all the people who have helped me throughout the years. First and foremost, I thank my wife, Heather, for supporting all my crazy adventures. And I'm sorry for waking you up all those times in the middle of the night when I would get a brainstorm of a new chassis design and be compelled to sketch it down so I wouldn't forget it. Thanks to Ellie, Ben, and Matt for being here tonight. I thank my parents, who are no longer with us, for helping me every step of the way. I thank my sister Jamie, who's also in the Hall of Fame. She worked the pit ticket building for many, many years. She's no longer with us. And I thank my sister Jody for washing my race cars. I thank the late Joe Posernich, Scott Kittner, and Howard Nelson for being my inspirations and teachers for the craft of hand lettering race cars. Thanks to Chris Beal, Brian Bartle, Jason Husted, Bruce and Gary Grierson, and Johnny and Madeline, my grandkids, for helping me during my racing days. I thank Gary Monroe, Bob Royney, and my uncles Fred Beal and Dan Brown for teaching and inspiring me to pursue metal fabricating and race car building. The knowledge, skill, and creativity those guys possess for metalwork and race car building is truly amazing. I thank my brother Todd Kittner and my cousins Dave, Steve, and Brian Vessel for not only being my childhood racing heroes, but for supporting my lettering, racing, and chassis building endeavors. Special thanks to my brother Jay Kittner and my friends Jeff Provenzino and John and Jeff Tardy for having faith in me and taking a chance by racing my completely unproven race car design back in 1996. Thankfully, that ended up working out quite well. Thanks also to the many other local racers who drove my cars. Todd Lopak, the late Dan Claudio, the late Bobby Kittner, Marcus Demjanovich, Dwayne Dale, Kevin Celine, Paul Schultz, Jody Olson, Mikey Vital, Don Smith, Randy Thomas Jr., Gene All, Derek Vessel, Johnny Erickson, Tom Ciani, Chad Finkbone, RJ Repke, Dean Madela, Toivold Dale, Reed Scott, Dennis German, and Tyler Kittner. I probably missed a few, but I tried my best. I also need to thank the late Ron Bellinger for letting me use his sheet metal shop the first few years I built race cars, and also Ryan Manili, Dave Lubatina, the late Sudi Demjanovich, the late Cleone Danielson, Steve Baker, Troy Vital, the late Jim Bullis, and the late Kevin Davey for coming up with the name Turbine. And I thank Rich All for not only being a great customer, but for being a great friend, and all the other people who I had the pleasure to do business with. Special thanks to Mike, Jake, Wendy, along with the rest of the board of directors and employees here at the Iron Range Racing Association who put untold hours of behind-the-scenes work to keep this place going. Most people have no idea how much time is invested, mostly without pay, to keep the lights on and the doors open here. And that's something that's overlooked far too often these days. So thanks to you guys for providing all of us the opportunity to enjoy the sport we love right here in our own backyard. And most of all, I want to thank all of you, the great fans here at Hibbing Raceway. Without your support, none of this would even be possible. So once again, thanks to everyone. I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your night. Be courteous to others, be kind to animals, and thank you.